yeah. Oh, it says we live. All right. We good?
I
Okay.
believe them. I believe we are live.
All right. What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dash DUB. I'm here with an exclusive one-on-one interview with my man DJ Payne One. Of course, we at the studio, Studio 22. Where else will we be? This has been put on by Mad Beat Lab and Media 22. So we just want to get into it. First, I want to thank you for coming and being a part of this,
Thank you for having me here.
and entertaining some of these crazy questions I'm probably gonna have for you.
Now I'm scared.
Now you.
I just skimmed the email.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got you.
Just don't let him ask anything.
Oh, the guy in the front row over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may not take questions from bro.
Okay.
Everybody else, if y'all got questions,
That
we'll
was
make
a-
sure to field those.
Who is DJ Payne One?
That's what's up. All right, so let's get into this because we've done this a few times already.
Just once, right?
Level Up was the last
Level Up,
one.
and
Didn't we
then-
do it before then?
I don't
Or
think
no, it was
so.
Level Up the first time.
Yeah,
Okay.
you were very professional.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
felt
thank
like I was on a major platform around totally different people.
you. Okay.
Not just someone that I've been on Tuesday meetings with for the past 8 years.
We won't go into that. No shots taken. Anyway.
No, that was a positive thing. I was transported. I felt like Wendy Day.
Mm.
That was a good interview.
Man, that was a great interview. All right, trying to stay focused here. So, DJ Payne One, for
No,
those
I
who
got
may
to
not
derail
know.
you. We got to channel the spirit of Wendy Day.
I know.
She's been posting a lot of content, so it's
Right. All right. For those who may not be familiar, most of the people in this room are familiar with you, but we still got people through the live stream. We got some folks that have been unfamiliar, but I've been pumping you up just for this.
okay.
So correct me if any of these credits are incorrect. Joey Badass.
Yeah, these are all wrong. No, I'm playing. You know,
Crooked Eye.
Yep. Well,
Pooh Shiesty.
King Crooked.
King Crooked.
Shout out to him. I actually just saw him in Vegas.
Pooh Shiesty. Mano. The Locks.
The phone screen.
Yep. D1, who's
Yep.
been making quite a splash of late.
I'm not familiar with the current controversy, but
He's been making a splash. Bun B, Polo G, Wiz Khalifa, Public Enemy,
Yep.
Royce the 5'9", Shorty Low, Do or Die, G Herbo, Ludacris.
Yep.
Ain't tell not one lie yet, huh?
no. So far, so good.
Joe Budden,
Yes.
The Game.
Yes, and Interscope still owes me money for that.
We may have to get into that. Jim Jones,
Owes me a lot of money. Yeah. But yeah, yep.
Papoose.
Yep.
Black Rob?
Yeah, rest in peace.
Like, whoa. 50 Cent.
Yep.
Meek Mill.
Mhm.
Young Jeezy.
That Young Jeezy was basically my big start.
And this was me kind of just skimming the Wikipedia because there's far more folks that he's produced for. These are some of the ones that I just wanted to share with folks just to kind of let them know what's going on. So my first question, man, I got to change my screen here. It keeps clicking off on me. So we are in a room of producers right now. We've started last year something called the Mad Beat Lab, place where producers can come in. We talk about technology and stuff like that, different ways that we go about doing things, and then we spend about 3 to 4 hours collabing in the different rooms. We got people here at all different levels, as far as it comes to production, all through the spectrum. And the first question I think that people need to know, whether they're trying to pursue this long term or they are just interested in it, trying to see what it is, like, what does this take? What does it actually take to be a producer in this day and age and be successful? So I think to get to that, my first question is, one, when did you start and how did you start this journey?
I mean, I started making beats when I was 14, but the journey really started, I think, 9 years after that.
Okay.
8 or 9 years after that.
Okay, so early 20s. And what do you
Yeah.
consider starting the journey?
Really focusing on that being the central force in my life.
Okay.
I was making music, but it wasn't a priority.
Okay.
So when it became priority number one.
Right.
The same way any career field becomes a
Right.
main priority.
Yep.
Like you go to school to become a lawyer or something, everything else you kind of push to the side for that 4-year or however long period that you're studying that
Right.
particular discipline, and then that becomes your job, so it's central to your life. But up until then, it was just kind of a hobby because I didn't think I could do this full time for a career.
So I would ask, what was the catalyst that told you that this is something I need to kind of put all my time or most of my time and effort into? Was there something that changed, something that somebody said to you, something that you saw?
Seeing Jinx, G-Banger, he goes with it by now, but seeing him go platinum here
Right.
was inspirational, but it didn't really, you see what he was doing, but you didn't know how he did it because I wasn't there with him in New York,
Right.
with Mark Smilo and whatever. Later on, I was, so
Right.
I felt like I was on a parallel journey, but it at very least opened my eyes to the possibility. And then the big catalyst was just that I was too old to be messing around at that point because I was finishing my bachelor's degree at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the expectation was I had to get a job,
Right.
I had to get serious,
Right.
And my degree was in education, so that was going to be probably a harder grind than music, honestly.
DJ Payne, one of the instructors / teacher.
Well, but in public school, you know what I mean? Because you had to first get into the sub pool, and that's a battle.
Yeah.
So you're basically subbing your way into the district, hoping that you get a full-time position. Once you get that full-time position, that's another battle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you don't have job security immediately.
Right.
And you're also working 80-hour weeks.
Right.
So it was that 100% or music 100%, but I couldn't be a part-time educator and a part-time musician. I realized at that point, if you part-time anything, you're going to get very few results.
Right. That's interesting. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that was the kind of the splitting of which road you wanted to go to.
It was scary.
And you ended up choosing music.
No, I ended up giving myself a year to try music.
Oh.
Because I didn't want to be, in my 30s and teaching and bitter about what could have been.
So what was your expectation in that first year? Because I'm interested. I'm very interested in that. What benchmark did you feel like you had to meet to be like, okay, yeah.
Whatever it was, I exceeded it. I was happy when I heard I was going to get a placement on I don't want to disrespect this artist. I'm not going to say their name.
Right.
But I was happy to get on their project, and they were signed to Cash Money at the time.
Okay.
I was like, oh, this is validating.
Right.
And then that very same beat ended up getting picked by Jeezy when that artist team didn't get back to us in time. And then by the time they did get back to us, we were like, well, this happened. So, and they sent the actual agreement over. So we kind of have to go with that.
Right.
So I feel like, honestly, my whatever my expectations were, they got exceeded by what actually happened.
Right. And so the promise of that was like, I may be onto something. I need to push on.
Well, I was like, oh, I'm about to be a millionaire.
Are you a millionaire?
I'm
like, are you a millionaire?
Let me check my. I can't use my phone. I'd show you my bank statements, but I wouldn't show you my bank statements. But I definitely wasn't even a 100,000-aire at that point.
Right.
That was interesting time.
Right.
Because you
part
think,
of the struggle.
Yeah, you think people who have #1 records and plaques, it's like, oh, you just tap on the plaque 3 times and
and
$1
the money
million check comes out.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
No, well, one, you pay for the damn plaque.
Yeah.
So you're already walking into that situation in the red.
Right.
But yeah, that was to me, that was a sign to go towards the light in that sense.
Right.
But also it's a long journey.
Right.
Very long. It was the beginning of a struggle, a new struggle.
Right. Which bridges me into my next question perfectly. I know we got some new producers that came in, So if y'all want to grab chairs out of the main studio, you can, and bring them and drag them in.
We're just sitting in that chair. That's my jacket, but you can sit on that chair. I don't care.
Oh, and that chair is open.
Yeah.
Consistency. Like, so the Jeezy was 2007?
2008. I think
2008.
maybe. Yeah, it was 2008. I didn't even know about it until 2008. So yeah, 2008 summer, and then it came out in September.
So you've been able to, as we've already stated with the credits, stack, and stack the plaques. We've seen the pictures, stack the credits. The list is just crazy long. It's ridiculously long. And you've been able to grow and stay relevant in a number of different spaces and platforms. And what I mean by that is like local scene, legendary. People are grabbing your beats all over the country. So you have a national impact. You have a social media impact from YouTube and all the platforms that you've been doing the podcasts and all the stuff. So my question is, how do you maintain that type of consistency? Because many times in music, whether it's an artist, whether a producer, whatever, it's I'm hot for a minute, I'll fall off, and then I'll kind of come back, and I may be able to regain and be hot for a minute, and then I fall off. And this consistency, where it just seems like you're stacking it brick by brick, is impressive. So for the producers here, how do you stay relevant and how do you stay consistent?
So what I'm going to say isn't necessarily the best thing, but it's true for me. Hopefully it's not true for you. I don't think it's true for everybody. But one, no social life. Two, absolutely loving music. I hope we have that in common. But three, just kind of, I'm just going to say it because it's real. Just kind of fear of not reaching certain goals or paying the bills on time. Like that. I think a lot of people work well when their back's against the wall. When you go all in on something, it's like either this works or my life is really gonna hit rock bottom at least temporarily, if not for longer than temporarily.
There's no plan B. It's plan A,
right,
and that's it.
And I mean, everyone. I don't want to be fatalistic about it. If your music career doesn't work out, that doesn't mean it's over for you. Right. It doesn't mean you can't pick it back up. It doesn't mean that you can't pivot a little bit. That might be a sign from the universe. Because I know a lot of people who pivoted. They wanted to be rappers,
right?
And then they pivoted into becoming managers because they understood the business from an artist perspective. They became great managers, or people who wanted to be producers who turned into rappers. Whatever the case is. Or people who did a complete 180 and, there's a rapper out here who is now a business owner in a very different space,
right?
In automotive, what I'm talking about. And he's succeeding at that. So there's no shame in that, but I'm sure the feeling of hitting a wall in your career was pretty disconcerting, and maybe you felt disappointed in yourself. So yeah, I mean, I don't even want to get to that point.
Right. Well, I mean, he ain't everybody's favorite, but Will Smith was famous for saying that, plan B is just a distraction from plan A.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people go into a music career. How do I put this? They're more comfortable with their plan A, and therefore they're more comfortable with their plan B, because the plan B is almost always a more traditional form of employment, right?
Right.
Like if I don't make this music thing work, I'm going to go work
fall back and do
construction, or I'm going to go back to doing accounting, or I'm going to go back to being a bank teller, whatever it is. And those are all great jobs, and any job is, well, virtually any job is respectable and whatever, but it's structured. You don't really have to deal with the pressures of entrepreneurship and all the uncertainty of that.
Right.
So I think when people walk into their music journeys, but they're mentally still in their plan B, then it doesn't work.
Facts.
Like you really have to just jump head first into the water, and you either drown or you swim. But if you're staying in the boat,
right,
you're not really there, are you?
That's interesting because there's a lot of artists, in the way you said it, I have a lot of artists that come through that, you know, after an hour in the studio with them, I can tell they're mainly in plan B, and not all the way into plan A, just by how they approach their craft. And then I always like to ask artists, like, what are you doing with it when you leave here? Right. So I'm always interested in like that aspect. Like, yeah, I'm here to help craft the record and all the other stuff, but it's like, well, what do you want to do with it? And that tells me almost more than anything else about where you are from a mindset standpoint.
Yeah, it's kind of like once you get into this and you're doing it consistently at I guess a higher level than a hobbyist,
right?
You kind of know when you talk to other people. It's like speaking a secret language. When you talk to other people, and you're like, oh yeah, what are you doing with your music career? Like, oh, my cousin is something. Like, okay, you don't. But if other people are like, yeah, I'm focusing on this rollout in the quarter three, you're like, whoa, okay, yeah.
That's a whole different game.
Speak the same language, yeah.
Right. The other thing that I was alluding to that you do well is that nationally and locally, you're relevant. And
you said it, I didn't say that.
That's hard. I think that's hard for a lot of. Sometimes I see up and coming producers trying to figure out what route I want to go, and sometimes feel that I ain't messing with the local market. People ain't messing with me.
Right.
So let me just skip the local market. Let me see if I can get a placement first or do this and da-da-da. So they start going other places. But then I've seen other producers really focus locally, but then haven't been able to expand past locally.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is for a young producer, how are you able to do both? How have you been able to stay relevant where everybody knows your name here? People are definitely accessing you here because your beats are coming through the studio. I know.
Oh, cool.
With DJ Payne One Beats, but also you have all these credits and accolades. So how does a producer do both?
I find it strange that producers don't do both, honestly. I mean, that kind of inspires a different conversation for me, which is the whole narrative that people locally don't mess with you until you've made it nationally. And then people are always like, people don't like talent, or they don't respect talent, they respect popularity.
Right.
And it's like, of course they do.
Right.
I mean, like, if you get drafted into the NFL, are you more qualified to speak on professional athletics? Absolutely.
Right.
So if you succeed in a much more competitive arena, is your city going to respond by giving you more attention? Absolutely, because you're standing out.
Right.
So I don't really see a problem with that. I used to when I was young and stupid, and it was like, man, they don't fuck with me out here. And it's like, well, realistically, I'm not sticking to the best practices. And then once we realized, like, you know, when I was coming up and I was in a rap group, we were all in rap group. It was like, I hate on this person because they get shows.
Right.
This person gets press. Why do they get press and I don't get press? People just love popularity.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, all I have to do is play more shows, talk to these people, collaborate with them, talk to the journalists, talk to bloggers that, you know, so, you know, we exist on the internet now.
Right.
There's just no separating. You know, it used to be before, I live in the real world, you live on the internet. It's like, even then, the real world was the internet, but now more than ever, they're the same thing.
Right.
So what is stopping me from putting beats on the internet and reaching someone in Germany, and then someone from the city saying, oh, can I hear some beats? Oh, yeah, here.
Right.
And I'm giving them access to the same catalog.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like a big gap that you need to bridge nowadays because everybody just has a studio in their pocket and access to an endless supply of music and network.
Earlier in your days, did you give away a bunch of beats for free locally? Was
yeah, I
that
think
was
I,
that was
I
that
still
a,
do. Yeah.
was that a part of? Okay, still doing.
No,
Was
I
that
wouldn't say a bunch of beats. No, because I wasn't making that many. So
Okay.
I was hoarding. I was hoarding beats. I was working on projects,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's fine if the people because people are always like, oh yeah, Zaytoven came up with Gucci Man, and he didn't just give away beats. I'm like, bro, that's Gucci Man.
Right.
You that's one in a million.
Right.
I can't just go out the house and throw a rock and hit the next Gucci Man. Like,
Right.
that's not how life works.
Right.
So I feel better working with more people, making more music, and not putting a bunch of eggs in one basket, because that's how it was when I was coming up. But it was a different time, and I had a different perspective.
Right. Okay.
And very few of the people I worked with ended up becoming the Gucci Man,
Right. Yeah. So it didn't pay off in that respect.
No, and so I'm always going to go against that narrative, just because, like, I'm never going to discourage somebody from working closely with an artist, but a lot of people will tell me, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You should stop putting your beats out on the internet. You got to lock in with." I was like, "Bitch, I've been doing that."
Right.
And I can tell you where it's failed and where it succeeded.
Right.
You know where it's Ted Park, success.
Yep.
Every group before that, not a success. A lot of those groups crashed and burned in really embarrassing and destructive ways.
Right.
And that's not going to stop me from continuing to work with people closely, but I have to be more protective of my energy now, because I have a lot going on. And for me to put the brakes on something that is fulfilling to me in a spiritual way, and then also a financial way, would mean really knowing what that investment, because you invest in people.
Yep. Return on investment.
And vice versa.
Right.
So it's great nowadays, because you can really see what a person's doing. Because someone will reach out and be like, "Yo, I got 50,000 followers." I know you check out their Spotify numbers; they got 13 monthly listens. Those followers are fake.
Right.
Like, I'm not working with you, because if you want beats, cool. I'm affordable to work with, but
go through the regular channels.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
Right.
and then, oh, you don't fuck with me. I'm like, but because I don't know you. You
Right.
you can't expect everybody to put their life on hold just to invest in you. At a certain point, you have to have social proof.
Right.
So like, I can't just walk up to Drake and be like, "I got beats here. Why aren't you? What are you doing? Why are you standing there? Go hurry up. Go record." He doesn't know who I am.
Right. Okay. Two things you said. Well, let me see if you find this partially true. Do you believe the majority of producers are introverts? Would you agree to that statement?
Maybe
or disagree?
more so than people in the artistic world who are performers,
Right.
compared to a singer or a rapper or an actor.
Whose your job is to be right in front of the camera.
Yeah, or
When the lights come
on
on.
stage, and you
Right.
have to. Yeah, so I think we have a higher ratio
Right.
of introverts to outgoing folks.
So how does, and maybe you can use yourself as an example, how does a producer go about networking and really building up ways in which, one, they can get their music out, but also that they can kind of grow their brand? So many times, we have these conversations. It's the bedroom producer, even though now that seems to go viral on the internet.
Right.
But it's I'm in my space,
Sure.
I'm doing my thing, and then I'll just ship it out. But when I look at stuff that you're doing, especially from a collaborative space, and then being able to accumulate the different credits and the placements that you have, part of that is who you know. Part of that is your work ethic, but you finding a way to get into the right spaces so that your brand can grow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even, if I look at the top producers now, I don't know who are like the most current top producers right
You
now.
should ask the youngins.
Turbo.
Turbo seems like an extrovert, actually.
Yeah. You still got Metro out there.
Okay, but so like, take a Metro for example. I've not ever seen him be super hype in a video or anything like that, right? He's not
Okay.
that kind. He's not like in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how he is in the studio because I've never met him, but I just don't feel like when I talk to a lot of producers, like I don't want to even put myself out there like
Right.
that,
Yeah.
because they think that that means being a performer and having these performative gestures
Right.
of sociability, where
Right.
like I got to be in the studio. Yeah, Corey. Oh, hey, oh no,
We got to be raw.
run it back. You know, like we don't have to be like that.
Right.
We can be ourselves, but still take chances and still command and direct the session like we're supposed to. Because I feel like a lot of producers are like that. They're present and they make themselves a part of the process, and then
Right.
their value is in their input and their experience and talent.
Right.
It's not in how big their personality is.
Hmm.
And even in the internet space, I love they're the really like the Ed Talentis of the world. They're really like that. He's a fun person to be around.
Right.
I don't have that kind of energy.
Right.
And then there are like the Eldres or the Oceans. They're not
Right.
but they're popular because they're just being themselves.
Right. Right.
So I think there's space for all of that, and I think just people need to reset their preconceptions when it comes to what an introvert is and what an extrovert is.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the veteran producers that are introverts by nature who are performing well, they're still for the most part putting content out there.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people make an excuse out of being an introvert, because I could be like, I don't want to deal with people.
Right.
But I know that it's necessary, and it's always just like internal conflict. Even going on tour, that destroys me. But I'm like, I got to be at the merch table. And once you're there and you realize that the people are there to give you positive energy 99% of the time, then yeah, it feels great and it's natural. I'm not forcing anything. I'm just there.
Right.
I mean, the first step is just getting there. And for some producers, that might mean just answering an email,
right,
or turning the camera on themselves,
right,
and sharing a beat on social media.
So there's a number of different ways you can just find ways, no matter what your personality is, to be out there, to be relevant.
Yeah.
To try to, do your best to build your brand and create an audience.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just a dry, humorless person, then make that your thing.
Yeah. That could be an angle.
Yeah. But don't force your way out of it. Don't be able to like, oh, what up, y'all? No cap. Today's going to be the craziest, wildest experience you're ever going to see on YouTube. Like, we know that's forced. People see through that.
Right. Your success, do you believe that that's for some people, I know it's a product of two things. I think for most people, it's a product of two things. Do you believe it's a product of having stuff that's out and available for people to come and reach out to you to try and collab or purchase or to get placements? And do you also feel it's part of you reaching out to people to kind of make it happen? Do you feel like your success has been based on both those things happening, or more one than the other?
I think both.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely both.
Okay.
Because it's funny you say that, because I did a consultation with someone this week, and at the end of it, he was like, thanks, I didn't even know you did those. I'm like, because I don't advertise them.
Right.
If I were to advertise them, then I would have to, like I said, I am an introvert.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that I don't do well with people.
Right.
It means I have to use a term that I'm borrowing from someone else, a lower social battery.
Right.
Like, I'm the iPhone from 5 models ago. My battery drains quickly.
Right.
So if I'm around people, cool, but that battery's going to be. Even a Zoom consultation with somebody, it takes a lot of energy. I'm going to put my all into it.
Right.
But I got to take like an hour after it and just sit somewhere and drink tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm talking a lot. I'm giving a lot of energy. I'm taking in a lot of energy. And so I don't advertise that service.
Right.
But people who ask, I'll send it to them. So if I weren't making myself accessible, then it would never get to the point where we're even having that conversation.
Correct.
So I think a lot of producers a lot of people in general don't make themselves accessible.
Right.
I feel like I make myself accessible, and I'm still pretty terrible with communication. So I don't know. It's a struggle.
Um, revenue streams, something that we talked about last time. There's been a lot of questions here about how to effectively leverage BeatStars. I look at the platform and you know, I'm on the platform. I know a few people here on the platform. One, I guess I have two questions. One, do you believe the platform is basically should every producer be on that platform? Is it advantageous for every producer at least to have something on BeatStars? And if you do have something on BeatStars, what advice would you give folks as far as building traction and really, you know, starting to turn that into a revenue stream for you?
I would say it's beneficial to be on BeatStars in the same way that it's beneficial for someone who designs clothing to be on Etsy or Spring or any of these sites. You know, you can be on there, and there are customers who will search that site to find you.
Right.
Or they'll search the site to find a product and then decide that your product is the one that they want.
Okay.
So I sell a lot of beats on BeatStars that way,
Right.
but the vast majority is me bringing
Your product to the
traffic to the store.
okay.
The BeatStars to me is the end of the funnel
Mm.
because they're there to make the purchase, or they're there to sign up to the email list by downloading a free tag beat or something like that.
Right.
So to me, that's the end of the funnel, not the end of the customer journey, but
Right.
that's where there's a call to action.
Right.
When they go to YouTube, there's not really a call to action other than if you want to get this beat, here's the link. But then they follow that link, they go to BeatStars.
Right.
So I upload beats to AudioMac, RapChat, Voloco, YouTube. Maybe there's one other. I mean, SoundCloud is always there,
Yeah.
and you can insert a BeatStars link.
Right.
Yeah, so you want to bring those people in. And email list.
Yep.
Every place that there is the potential for people to want to get your beats,
Right.
I would say just have a presence there.
Right.
BeatStars is different. It's an e-commerce site. I think the misconception is that you sign up and you're just automatically selling beats,
Right.
which wouldn't make any sense.
No.
Like if it was up to me, I'd just sign up to eBay and sell
Put something up there and expect that to start to get money.
or not even put anything up there.
Right.
Just be like, why aren't
I'm on
people
here.
sending me money? And,
Right.
and you hear stuff all the time. People are like, I hate BeatStars. I signed up, and in 3 months I didn't sell anything. It's like, I know you didn't do shit.
Right.
It's very clear you have a terrible attitude. So to me, it's a really affordable way to make your beats accessible via a e-commerce platform
Right.
that people are familiar with and trusting of.
Right.
Because otherwise, if I were to do this myself and start my own site, I wouldn't know where to start, and it just wouldn't be cost effective.
Right.
It would cost hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, just to set up, and then for all the bandwidth and whatever, and the store, because you're storing gigabytes, terabytes of beats.
Right. Yeah.
So that's expensive.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just pay the $140 a year, whatever,
Right.
which
Yep.
is pretty cheap.
Right.
That's cheaper than every other bill that I have.
Right.
So I recommend it.
Right.
It's not the only way to sell beats, but to me, that's been the easiest.
That's interesting. I don't think I've had anybody break it down as that, to say this is the end of the funnel. This is where some people, as you're saying, say this is the whole funnel. Where it's like everything revolves around this. You're setting things up in other places to send them there.
They don't even say at
finalize the
BeatStars. They
process.
don't even say it's the whole funnel. That I learned how to run ads on third-party platforms from BeatStars employees.
Huh.
So they're not the ones spreading that narrative.
Right,
I mean, they
right.
have their own internal promotion system.
Yeah.
But they're not going to say use ours, don't use anything.
Don't use anything
No,
else.
they're saying I have videos up with Mike Trampy where
Yep.
he worked for BeatStars.
Yep.
And we're talking about this is how you set up a meta ad. This is how you optimize a YouTube ad.
Right.
So they know the landscape. They know marketing.
Right. Yeah, I find that yeah, in the YouTube aspect of it. So bridging off of that, saying that you have your YouTube that's also helping to funnel people towards BeatStars. Your YouTube following your YouTube page has evolved over the years as far as what you continuously keep adding. It's more than just I'm going there just to listen to a DJ Payne one beat.
And I think that's a problem. But yeah, well, no, because that's not YouTube used to be forgiving of that. They used to be fine with multiple forms of content,
right.
And it was just more based on the individual video's merit. And now it's all about the entire channel's niche.
Yes, and they're going to make you try to break it apart for specific things you're doing
Yeah.
underneath the name of DJ Payne One instead of having it encompass everything.
Yep,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I hate it.
So you're gonna have to. So are you gonna break and
I've
do
tried.
a second page?
I've been experimenting with other channels.
Okay.
And just having a beat channel, for example.
Okay. Could you imagine? Do you think your BeatStars numbers would be without the influence of YouTube? Is YouTube a direct generation of a lot of what you're getting in BeatStars?
Believe it or not, because my YouTube traffic isn't great to the beat videos, but when I look at, because I installed the Google Analytics, because that's a BeatStars integration, and then I don't have to guess.
Yeah.
I just go there and I see that, YouTube is still one of the top 3 traffic sources.
Wow. Do you mind sharing what number 1 and 2 are?
I don't know what the order is, but Instagram is one, and then just direct to the pro page is another. So that's the top 3.
How are you utilizing Instagram to funnel traffic to BeatStars?
Paid ads.
Okay. Give me an example.
I'm running at any given moment at least 3 ads at any time, and they're just it's the Mike Trampy method. If you go to my YouTube page, the whole thing is explained. Yeah.
Okay, that's one I haven't heard too much of the Instagram version of using that to be able to drive that traffic.
Yeah, because I split tested with Facebook, and it was better conversions with Instagram. So I just went. I was like, well, I probably should have stuck with Facebook and kind of optimized it, but I was just sick of throwing money away, so I just went straight to Instagram. Like, they're the ones that are converting. I'll go with them.
You're also known for your sound kits. What role do you think sound kits and instrumental albums, is that something that should be in every producer's repertoire? Does it kind of depend on what the type of stuff that you do as a producer? Is it, are those essential pieces that you think a producer should have?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any creative should do anything that they aren't good at and they don't have passion for. So if you're a producer and all you do is use sound kits, then cool, you just promote the beats. Don't make your own sound kit. That wouldn't make sense. But if you're really good at creating melodies and soundscapes, or you can play multiple instruments and capture a style really well, then try it out.
Trying to add that in, and that's something. Sound kits can be sold through BeatStars, correct?
Yep.
Instrumental albums.
Yeah, again, if you're making,
I don't hear a lot of people talk about instrumental albums.
I hear a lot of people talk.
Do you?
Because a lot of people are like, stop selling beats, just upload your instrumental albums and go viral like these. It's just like, that's all right. Anytime you hear someone saying stop doing this and do this instead,
you take that with a grain of salt.
A grain of dog shit. I would never tell someone to, unless they're doing something really stupid, like, hey, maybe stop harassing OnlyFans models on Twitter. Hard stop.
Right.
And then focus your attention on, like, take that energy and make more beats.
Right.
Optimize your SEO.
Right.
But for the most part, people want to say it's one or the other with beat selling. It's like, why? If you feel like your instrumentals stand alone, sometimes we're not even the best judges of that.
Right.
So whatever, go 2lost.com. Use the code ADODS, 3 free months. Upload all your beats there
Mhm.
and see what happens.
Wow. Okay.
I did it, you
Yeah.
know, and there are a lot of producers that do it, and they're surprised by their results, either for better or worse.
You're
Sometimes
gonna
like,
figure that
I
one
put
way or
up
the other.
100 beats and I'm getting like 100 monthly listeners. I'm like, okay, yeah, but maybe keep going. You just haven't gotten there yet.
Right. Okay.
Or some people go viral
Right.
off of beats. I know a couple of people have done that.
Okay. I want to make sure to open it up for the group here. I got one last question. AI been really changing the way people are going about as far as their work processes and things of that sort. I did see the video you did on RipX. That's incredible.
Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah.
How has
Okay, so they turned me into an advertisement, right? And
they turned your
they
video
turned
that
my
you did on
video.
there?
They're putting money behind it, so they're advertising it on the platforms. So people are like, man, because I commented on the ad.
Yeah.
A lot of people who watched that video and got RipX are telling me how amazing it is.
Yeah.
And it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're one of the people.
Yep.
Yeah. So then I'm getting all these comments like, yeah, okay, yeah, please. Like, no, I'm not lying. People
Right.
really like the technology.
Right.
It's really because I've used a lot of STEM creators, and this was so far the cleanest option.
Right. Yeah, because people have been adapting into their dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So what I still remember when I first came to Madison. I don't know if you remember when I came over and I got some beats. And I had you produce some beats, and I had like some samples and things of that sort. And I was marveling at your workflow. Like, your workflow was so quick. Like, I came over to Bro's spot or whatever, and I was like, yeah, man, I got these beats that I want you to kind of redo. And then I had like a folder of samples. I was like, yeah, you can choose some of these samples or whatever to use. And he was like, oh yeah, word. You like that? You like that? Okay, yeah, we'll throw that in. Let me hit him with the drums. Okay, you like that? I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Okay, let's go to the next one. He was just zooming through the stuff, which was it was incredible to me. How has the AI and the changing in the DAWs, how has that affected your workflow? Have you adapted some of that technology? Have you said, no, because my workflow is what I know, what I'm familiar with, and it's gotten me this far, that you're saying I see it, but it's not really a part of what I'm doing? How has it changed, if it's changed anything for your workflow?
No, it's changed. I don't think it's made it any. You know how it's made it easier? The video AI stuff is really helpful. You can, and for graphics too. There are sites where, traditionally I would have to pen tool myself out of a background or whatever if I'm making a flyer or a thumbnail. Yeah, I just drop it into like Photo Room or whatever it's called, and it automatically extracts me from the background perfectly. So that saves me hours and hours
of time. Yep.
With the music stuff, I feel like the AI is not really so much for the workflow; it's just for the creativity. So and it, because like before we couldn't just extract a snare drum from an old vinyl record,
right?
And now we can. So back then, we could have tried and tried. We didn't even try because we knew it was impossible. Now it's possible. So yeah, that the technology right now isn't. I think FL is going to incorporate a stem maker, or they have already. So that's probably going to change someone else's workflow, but I don't use FL, so all it's done is kind of expanded my toolkit.
Do you think this is going to be for the betterment of producers, or do you think
it's like guns, man? Like, AI is there,
right?
Are you going to learn how to use them, or are you going to be afraid of them, or both? I'm like both.
I'm afraid to use it, but still mess with it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Okay, all right. Man, I appreciate this talk. I want to open it up to the floor and see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, bro.
As far as like the paid ads go on Instagram, what would you say is the minimum that you have to put in order to get something back out?
So two things. I wouldn't recommend using the boost feature for ads because you kind of want an ongoing advertisement. That's because Facebook or Meta rather, terrible company, but they have a lot of AI elements to their ads, and so it's a learning algorithm where they're learning how to more effectively deliver those ads over time. And I think the other mistake people make is just dumping money into it.
Right.
I would say start with like a $5 daily budget and just let it run for a while.
And how much targeting do you actually do, or do you mostly let the system figure that out for you?
There are people who just let the system figure it out and they've found good results. I don't. I dump my my customer and email list data into. Excuse me. I export it from MailChimp or BeatStars or whatever you're using to collect, and then import that into Business Manager.
And where are you getting
Say
those
what?
from? And where are you getting those original emails from, if not from something like Instagram?
From like BeatStars, for example,
We'll collect.
So
they'll
it's
collect.
like almost like a big circle of sending people back and forth between your various platforms.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who downloads a free beat, I have
You
it
get
set
their email.
for me to collect their email, and then
Which could potentially come from YouTube or
Yeah.
anything.
Yep.
Okay.
yeah. So that's why that funnel concept is important. And then once you have, I don't know, 1,000 or so emails, then you put that, you import that into their audience builder, and then you can create a lookalike audience, and then Facebook will extrapolate that data and it'll take it from 1,000 to 1,000,000, and then you have a much better chance of targeting the right customers.
Okay.
But I think research shows that people need to see an ad 3 times before they actually interact with it. So it's this ongoing thing. That's why I wouldn't recommend people dump, because people think, oh, if I dump more money, I'll make more money back. But it's like, yeah, maybe if the ad's already effective. So, you spend $5 a day and run it for a month and see, you're not gonna lose your house.
Right. Find out what the results are.
Find out what the
Scale it.
results are and scale up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So just before we go to the next one, email list is critical. What you said in our last talk, we didn't talk about here.
And the people that say email is dead, God bless you. I keep thinking that because no, seriously, all the people that are like selling beats are dead and email lists, all the stuff that I make a living doing.
Yeah.
If people are out there saying it's dead, great.
Right.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Right.
Cool. Create more space for those of us who are doing this.
That sounds like part of the foundation for the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the building block. See.
All right, so I got a question. I've been on BeatStars. Well, I converted from Airbit to BeatStars in 2018, but I feel like 2019, I kind of did like a group with Dub. We had some good success going on with it, and then throughout, like, I noticed, like, I don't know, like the algorithm or something like that, I felt like kind of changed.
On BeatStars?
Yeah, like more recently too. Like I was noticing, like I wasn't getting as many like crazy sales like that, but they were a little bit more consistent. But I did this challenge where I was just like, hey, I'm gonna upload a beat for the next 2 months every day, and I was doing it, collaborating with other producers and all that stuff. But I noticed it was just like, I got more success at like posting at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, but it still no sales.
So I don't think BeatStars has any kind of algorithm, just because there's no real incentive for them to have one. But what has I think a lot has changed. One, 2019 was an amazing year because everyone was at home, they were quarantined. If you rapped, what were you doing in the house? You would lose your mind if you weren't recording music. And you didn't have to commute to work, so you had extra time. And you would get COVID relief, so you maybe had extra money. So sales were amazing until about 2022, and then people were back to work. They were going on vacations again.
Mm.
They were spending more money on things other than music. So I think that's a big change, but also PayPal's messing up. I just had a video about that. Check your pending and canceled transactions.
Mm.
Do that like every 48 hours, because there might be something in there that PayPal just hasn't told you about, because they'll cancel a transaction like that. I don't know why.
Mm.
I've tried to talk to them about it. They don't give me it. They're like, oh, it's BeatStars fine. It's not. You're the one that's taking the money. They don't touch my money. So it doesn't make sense, but it's happening. And then also economic uncertainty, you know, we're just, sometimes we are victims of that. But if I were you, where else do you upload?
So I
beats?
have my main website, and I just use BeatStars Player.
But
I
do you
do-
use other?
So I use my emailing list, but I also use YouTube. So I started a new YouTube channel, which is kind of getting some little traffic now. But it was mainly, and then I tried running the lookalike ads and stuff like that. But I felt like on the metaverse, it was so complicated. Like I kept getting frustrated with trying to run ads on there. I finally got to figure it out through like running YouTube ads. I did get a couple sales that way. But I felt like it was like I was spending a lot of money. Like,
Yeah, with the YouTube ads, you can set your bid price too. So I think
I was running like BeatStars ads. I was running, that's why I'm like, when is the cap with like, do you like, are you supposed to run ads on like, all 4 different platforms at one time?
nah, I mean, if you have the money for it. But another thing that I would recommend too for ad strategy, and this goes back to your question too. This doesn't. Some people will like Dream Life, for example, but all his beats are good. Some
Yeah,
they just
don't.
are. I don't think all my beats are good, and the ones that I think are good, other people don't think are good. So, what I wait for before I run ads, it might be a 6-month to a full year delay. I just go to my sales stats. What are my top 4 beats? I'm running ads on those. Because if they're selling that well without ads, they're going to sell better with ads. I'm not going to take the beat that hasn't sold, because people clearly don't want to buy it. And so that's a really big strategy. When I run Facebook ads, I don't know how you did it. I just isolate like 50 some odd seconds of the most interesting part. So for me, I have a lot of beats with hooks. So the ad, when someone scrolls on the ad, the hook comes in right away. So it catches. There's no intro, nothing. Like the hook just comes in. There's just a picture of an artist that I can see using the beat. I've seen a lot of ads where it's like, "Hey, do you want the freshest beats?" I'm only watching this because this is weird, not because I think it's cool. Like there was one, I'm not gonna say it. There was one that was just funny. No, maybe it worked. I don't know if you saw that. It was like an astronaut, and he goes, "Hey, I'm in space," and then it's an advertisement for beats. Where I'm kind of like, I don't
see that.
I don't see the connection between. I think you'd be more effective just doing what does that do?
So they were like a minute. Like I would do like
Okay.
a minute, and like I would try to post like the most beats with like the most downloads and stuff like that. I haven't tried running. That's a good one. Like I have not tried running beats that I sold the most. I have not.
Yeah, I would try that, because at very least you know that that's grounded in hard data.
Because I believe it's just like 2 or 3 beats that repeatedly sold.
Yeah.
So.
And they'll keep selling.
Yeah.
They'll keep selling. It's just, you got to imagine, even if they've only sold 10, 15, 20, 30 times, it's a big world out there.
Right.
Yeah.
So keep promoting those. And then also just kind of, how many beats do you have in your catalog?
Probably almost 400 now.
Do you ever run holiday sales or anything like that?
I'm doing one right now. So I run a Black Friday. I run a Black Friday sale, And then I also did like, I don't know if this is a good thing, but I was talking to my barber, and I kind of was like, dang, I was like, I see these dudes that they're selling beats for like $10 on BeatStars the least, and I was like, and they're at the top of the list, and he was like, and I was like, well, I don't think I should really put my prices that low, but he was like, why not?
Well, there's a way, because that barber's not going to cut, he's not cutting hair for $10. But if there's a way, so you can sell that low, but not make it seem like you're selling that low. Because if you set your price at 30, but it's 3 for 1, you're selling that low.
Right.
But the perception is that you're getting, because you don't ever want to make it seem like your beats are $10 beats.
Aren't of value.
You want to make it, because they're not, right? You want to make it seem like the people are getting a deal, because they are. So I look at it that way. And I give deals to people all the time, especially repeat customers. If I'm doing a 3 for 1 deal and it's a repeat customer, I'll give them 5 for 1 because I appreciate them coming back. So I kind of learn, especially after quarantine, that things had changed, the economy had changed, and it's still changing. And the CDC pretty much just said COVID ain't shit, and so it's gonna get weird again, but they're not gonna pay for it this time. So we just have to adapt to that market. And so whatever you're feeling, I'm feeling too. It's just every producer I've talked to is feeling that same thing. No matter what platform they're using, no matter how well established they were, the producers that had made $1 million off of BeatStars already and are posting the screenshots, they're feeling that too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening to everybody. It's just a matter of adapting and then finding different ways of working. And for me, a lot of that comes from interacting directly with customers, changing the way, I can't really give you advice without seeing what your email strategy is, seeing what your ad copy is, seeing what your SEO optimization on YouTube is, seeing how your website's set up or hearing the beats, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it just takes a lot of analysis.
Okay.
But you do consultation.
I do, but all I'm saying is, I'm not saying buy a consultation. You can if you want, but don't get discouraged.
Right. And
Well, no, I'm not discouraged. Like for me, like I like I'm literally up like throughout the day,
Okay.
just making beats.
Yeah.
So I tried to like kind of like set back a little bit because I started noticing like, okay, I had a video that like kind of like shot up a little bit, like on my new YouTube channel, like it shot up to like 600 views in like 2 days. I was like, okay, this is the highest I've gotten so far on this channel. And I'm like, all right, maybe I should just, instead of posting every day, maybe I should post every 2 to 3 days and stuff like that.
I feel like the bigger takeaway is listen to that beat.
Okay.
Use that as a musical standard for yourself.
Mm.
Like, is it formatted differently from others? Is there more space for vocals in that one? Is the tempo easier to rap to? And then also look at what thumbnail you used. Can I replicate this aesthetic? Can I, what kind of keywords did I use? What am I ranking on? Check the TubeBuddy and the vidIQ stats.
Yeah.
And even if you're not ranking on those, I would try to at very least make sure my next 10 uploads are with those same keywords to try to replicate that success. Because if it's worked once,
it was a different beat. Like I was stuck on like, first of all, too, I kind of figured out like, so there was like, okay, if you're gonna start a type beat channel, you should try to find your niche.
Yeah.
And then don't always go for an artist who's just already popping, which I kind of did, and it kind of hurt a little bit. But as soon as I like made a Brent Faiyaz type beat, like it just went. It was like
then keep going with that because it means that there's probably a high optimization possibility for that keyword. Because I don't know very many people who. I'm not saying people don't, but it's not like a Drake type beat.
Right. So I'm like, that's what I was like, maybe I should keep posting these type beats.
I think so. At least try it.
Okay.
So the 2 things popped out to me about that. One is looking at if you've experienced some success, reverse engineering it of
Trying
what,
to replicate.
yeah,
that
what are the
success,
things that help to build that up and take that as a template of ways you could possibly move forward to have more success. But the other thing that pointed out is also something that's kind of been going on in the artist world when you're saying, hey, take the if you got 3 high performing beats or whatever, that's where your money should go.
Yeah.
And it's almost, and I think Wendy Day was talking about this, about
Yeah.
putting your singles out there, you know, in a similar fashion onto social media and see what people are attracted to, what they're drawn to, and then that's where your dollar should go.
Yep.
So it's to find those similarities is very interesting in the production world, even in the artist world, as far as promotion and really looking at where that advertising money or video money should go to.
Yeah, because we always think we know
Yeah, we do.
our art. And we know, no, this is hot. This is what
Right.
everyone's gonna like. Art, whether we make beats, whether we rap,
Right.
rappers all the time, producers all the time. Like, this is what they're gonna like. I'm gonna shoot a video to this. Ask your fans.
Yep.
They'll tell you.
Absolutely.
You're gonna make a poll.
Right.
3 snippets.
Right.
You can even, honestly, that's a great way. I forget who does this. I want to say he's in Europe. He posts on his Instagram multiple slides, and each one is a different beat. And he'll
Ooh.
say,
Is he a younger guy?
everyone's younger than me, but yeah, no, he's not. He's probably in his 30s
Okay.
or late 20s. I don't know. He's aging well either way, but he would put multiple slides of different beats and then ask people which one their favorites are.
Right.
And then I think he'd randomly give a free beat away
Mhm.
to somebody, but every time he posts, and maybe he does that once a week, but every time he makes that post and people engage with it, one, asking a question is a great social media engagement strategy. That'll increase your reach, but also it creates conversation. And then what he said was that the people who know the system, they know that someone's going to win a beat. If they like the beat and they don't win, they're going to buy it. Or they're more likely to buy it because they're already excited about it and
Right.
they feel like they were a part of the process.
That's dope.
That makes sense.
So I think there are just a lot of ways. There are ways that we haven't even thought of yet to engage people.
But you're pulling, the other thing that sticks out is you're pulling a lot of information from a lot of different platforms.
Right.
You aren't mainly relying on saying, well, is it just popular on BeatStars?
Right.
You're pulling from BeatStars, YouTube, some of the other places, that you already mentioned, Audio Mac and other things, to say, okay, there's kind of a somewhat of a consensus that these ones seem to keep rising to the top. So having more data and more information to better be able to inform how you want to spend that money is key.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good no matter what.
Right.
And that's why I just tell producers, just put your stuff out as many places as you can. You don't even need to overthink it. You don't even need to get into the data collection and analysis portion of that journey, because if I tell you to do all that now before you even started, I'm telling you to analyze data you don't even have yet. No, you just got to do it first. Right. It's like it's like anything in life. You just have to do. Someone can tell you what to do all day. Someone can. I can. If you've never swam before, I can sit here and tell you, this is how you move your arm. But if you're not in the water, you're not gonna. It's not gonna make sense. You've got to get in the water.
Right. You got to make it happen. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got something.
Yeah.
Have you ever used TrackLib? You ever used TrackLib for samples?
Yeah.
So I know on there, I think they changed it recently, but
Yep.
when you use the credits to download, but then if you want it, you can buy the license. And when I was looking into the legal side of that, it was like if you make a beat, right, and you pay for the license and you want to sell that beat to someone, you transfer it over. And it's kind of just confused me, and I can't really get like a good source on how that works when it comes to leasing, or if you were to upload that beat through BeatStars, and they have their own like way of doing the purchasing. So like how that transfer happens, like if you've dealt with that, like if you email them or
I know they're responsive. I contacted them the other day, and they got back to me within 24 hours. So I don't feel comfortable speaking on their policies, but if I were you, I would just find a way to phrase that question really clearly and concisely and just email it to them.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I don't think they talk much about beat leasing.
Yeah, it's hard to find information on a lot of this stuff because a lot of people say different things, and then it's like I was looking at TrackLib and then at like the BeatStars policies, and I'm like, well, if I uploaded a beat, right, and I paid for the license for the sample, someone buys it, do I contact that person directly and say, hey, you know, if you want to put this up and you want full rights to it or whatever, you know, I'm gonna have to transfer this license over to you. Or if that doesn't apply when it comes to leasing in the first place, because they're leasing it from you and you already have the license.
No, I think legally it would apply. And I know with TrackLib, it's a really low fee.
Yeah, it was like $50, but I think they changed it recently.
They changed it so that it's cheaper to get unlimited or something. So
Yeah.
now
Oh, wow.
it's a way better. It's like Splice now.
Wow.
Because I mean, it's dope in the first place because it's
Yeah.
like you can actually sample from records, which
Yeah.
is what I like to do. And I don't know if it's like the very first of its kind, but
I think it is,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Because
Especially with that tier system of being able to get access to those samples
just-
and then it being stemmed out in the way that it is, having full songs and
Yeah.
stuff.
See, but they would have the stems, but they'd want you to, if you wanted, like you'd have to pay for a license for each one, which I thought was
Ooh.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't been on there for a while, but I know I interviewed them once before I used the platform.
Hmm.
So I wish I had waited to use it before, because I would have brought up those questions and
Yeah.
had them answered. Maybe I can get an interview with them again. Actually, I should. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had experience with that because it just a little confusing to me as to how that kind of works.
I will keep that in mind because that's an important conversation.
Dang, like, well, that was my last question. I got
Yeah,
another.
I got another one too.
Yep.
This is more of like I guess just general with music and the whole industry. But do you feel like in order to be successful in this industry, you have to compromise some level of creativity?
I think everyone's definition of compromise is different. So there are, this is going to sound harsh, most of the people that I hear say that are just kind of too stubborn. We're like, I'll be in a studio where the stakes are really low. And you'll be like, hey, can drop the tempo down. And the producer will be like, no, man, let me explain something to you. And it's like, he just asked to drop the tempo down. And you got to you're pulling out a whiteboard explaining exactly why the tempo should stay as it is and why you know best. And I think part of that just comes from us as the producer having a vision when we create the beat, because we're generally the ones who create it first. And I've been just in a lot of sessions with producers where I'll even ask them, like, hey, can you, no, just hold, no, watch it. I don't think that's the right choice. And they're unwilling to compromise. And so that's a form of compromise. And a lot of people aren't willing to cut it. But I've been in conversations too where, you know, especially I would say with performing artists, because there's a lot of image involved. There's a lot of appearance and branding and sexuality and this and that. So there's stuff going on there. You know, like someone who wants to be a certain way, and you know the labels are influencing them to be more this or be more youthful or change it, you know, this. So I think there's a lot of compromise being done everywhere, but in every profession there's compromise. You know, like if you're a teacher, you might want to cuss a kid out, but you can't do that. So you're compromising there. Your soul is telling you cuss that little demon out.
Right.
But you can't do that. You do customer service, I want to smack the shit out of that person. Can't do that. So you're compromising. I'm just happy to be in a space where I'm controlling my business more than anyone else.
Right.
And so if I walk into a situation where I'm collaborating, I'm gonna have to compromise. And there's nothing. I guess I'm not gonna have to, but there's a high probability that when you work with someone else, there's going to be some kind of compromise. I might send you a loop and I'm like, man, I really hope he makes a dancehall track to this. And then you make house. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I wanted,
Right.
but let me listen to this. Actually, this is cool. I like this. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. So I think be open to compromise, but then also we're all going to make mistakes. We're stumbling through life. If something doesn't sit right with you, then it doesn't. But if it's, like a minor creative difference, just be open to input. I don't think anyone's going to walk in and be like, man, cut that bullshit off. Dumb down your synths. And then a lot of people will say that, but I think it's an excuse because a lot of people are just angry and they're on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, the question from my perspective is a little bit more like philosophical almost in terms of like, which I think you've answered my question very well, but I really enjoy, and a lot of people say this, I really enjoy a lot of different music and I want to implement it all, but as a producer, that can sometimes be very difficult when people are only looking for this same thing from you.
Right.
And that's really more what the question comes from.
Sure.
Of course, with collaborations and all that, they're like, hey, maybe a little bit less kicks or whatever it is, then, of course. But more specifically than with, say, like, which I feel like you kind of touched on this a little bit when we were talking about YouTube and all that. But when you're putting your stuff out online, do you feel like that is something that you kind of have to reel it in a little bit and not be as, because to me, like a lot of music from, me growing up was just like, I love sounds and I want to try them all.
Yeah, I think the difference between putting stuff online and then working directly with someone is that when you're working directly with someone, you're walking that journey together. And so if you just kind of say, okay, hey, I want to go in this direction.
Right.
Cool. Are you ready for that? Cool. But if you put something out on the internet,
it's up to interpretation.
Not everyone's looking for that.
Yeah.
It's you're going to catch the most attention with something that's a little more palatable or more accessible to the average artist.
Yeah.
That's not to say that you shouldn't put weird stuff out. You should. You absolutely should, because there are some channels, and I think it'll take more time, but I see channels where the weirder stuff goes crazy.
Right.
It's not necessarily the right kind of music for beat licensing. But the stuff that I make isn't necessarily the right kind of music for sync licensing. So that's not a bad thing. I think a lot of us try to make our music fit in to every format. And then if we know it doesn't fit into every format, then we get apprehensive about it.
Right.
I don't think we should get apprehensive about it. I think if it's weird, all we really have to do is look at all the artists that we love.
Yeah.
If you're inspired by artists who kind of make avant-garde stuff, well, clearly there's an audience for it because you're a member of that audience.
Yeah.
They aren't necessarily putting their music up on BeatStars and getting a ton of sales, but there's nothing wrong with you putting that music out in a similar manner and, building a community from that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to put $60 in advertising to like the weirdest beat that you've ever made. So.
Yeah, but the weirdest beat that you ever made might not be appropriate for your BeatStars.
Right.
Yeah,
That could go straight to Spotify. That could go straight to Bandcamp. That could go straight to YouTube.
Of course.
So before we move to the next one, so it's like for a producer that makes beats, however they make beats in whatever form or format, I think, to what you're alluding to, what you're saying, we get so caught up in trying to fit it into certain platforms, even though it may not belong, instead of searching for the space in which it's a fit.
Or creating the space.
Right. And I think I could definitely be That may definitely be me, because I'll be passionate about making a certain type of sound, but then I'm distracted because in the platforms in which I'm trying to be a part of
Right.
and monetize off of, it's not always a fit. It's not stuff that I can just easily make. Like, it's like, okay, I really got to try to make this, instead of just when I sit down, I create, but I have a hard time finding the right space. And it's
Yeah.
probably because I'm trying to squeeze it in to certain spaces in which it doesn't belong.
See, and I was the opposite because I grew up just listening to songs, and then I would get the little singles, and
Yeah.
then I would listen to the instrumental
Are you saying tapes?
tapes and CDs, and I would listen to because
Yeah, just dated how old you were.
yeah, no, listening to the tape and then having to rewind it back.
Yeah,
It took too much battery power.
yeah.
So I would just let it play and I'd listen to the instrumental. I'm like, oh, there's a drop there. And this is when I was a kid.
Mm.
So when I first started making beats, I was just
You were
automatically.
emulating
I was
what you heard.
right. And it was like, oh, this is what I listened to. So that was, I didn't get super weird with it until I just kind of wait for the right context for that.
Right.
Like if I'm working on a project with a specific artist and we trust each other,
Mhm.
like, hey, do you want to do something kind of weird?
Right.
Or maybe I'll just do it and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And they
Right.
like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna and it's just not my instinct.
Right.
My instinct is to make something a little more accessible.
Right.
And so I envy the people who make the weird stuff. And that's just what they do. So they're winning in their own communities, and there's space for everything.
That's what's up. That's important. That may be one of the most important things we talked about. Questions. I don't want to hold him here forever. We could probably do 2 more questions because we draining his battery right now.
I'm gonna say,
he about drained.
uh,
Gio, did you have one or no?
He answered it. I'm on guard.
Okay.
I would say the placement.
As far as like artists.
Yes, but no, a producer that's been doing it for a while. That's just like, hey, but they don't. Is it? Like, I don't know. I guess the question is like, how do you go about that?
How do you go about getting
Yeah.
the placements with big artists?
Yeah. I mean, I know traveling
Yeah.
and networking is probably key, like going to a bigger city and stuff like that. But
I mean, maybe people are getting placements just putting beats online now because you got to figure actually Wendy Day put this out.
Yeah.
That chart data where it explained where labels are discovering the majority of new talent. First was still SoundCloud.
Wow.
And then
what?
that was for like first discovery.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it went on to Instagram.
Wow.
So if you're on SoundCloud and you're on Instagram and that's how you're putting your music out, where are you probably getting your beats? YouTube.
Yeah.
So those people are going to get signed next month
mm,
and they might be recording to your beats right now.
mm,
So that's one way. My first placement was in 2007, 2008. And that was sent to an engineer by my manager. I wasn't in that city. I never met Jeezy, but that record happened. Placements with Public Enemy. That was friends of. I've met some other producers. I met Divided Souls, and they met Chuck D and just got me involved. Other stuff. People. The most recent, I guess, hit record that I did was an unsigned artist whose manager contacted me to make a beat for him. Before that, with the Pooh Shiesty record, that was a sample I put out.
Mm.
And then the producers came back to me and I'm like, well, we can't really use that sample. So, so then we spent the next week just
Trying to recreate, Anyway.
not recreate, but
putting something similar.
it's somewhat similar,
Right.
but not
Yeah.
not infringement.
Yeah. Something you
So-
get clear.
Yeah, I mean those are big songs for me, and they've all materialized in different ways. So if you can lock in with, if you're like the Tay Keith who locks in with Sexy Red, amazing.
Right.
But there are a lot of different ways to get there.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. So, like, I used to be like in this space where I just used to like, oh no, you go to my B stars, and now I'm trying to like actually work with artists without even involving any money in it. So, open up my own studio in Brookfield, and so like right now I'm kind of like working on a project with a whole bunch of artists that's in the city. So that's without like charging them any studio time or anything like that. So I was like, hey, maybe I can break the artist here. So,
Right.
Didn't something weird happen in Milwaukee with a producer or something recently?
Oh yeah. So I just think that's them not knowing the business. So it was I think it was a producer called Soy Maison and some other people where they basically were collecting royalties off of the artist's songs. But I was like, to be honest, it looked like they were kind of like collecting what they were being owed anyway for for producing the beat.
Because there was some big Milwaukee controversy.
Yeah, I think it was that.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
was just like, I mean, I believe producers still have rights to collect money off,
Yeah.
royalty. And yeah, I think that's what they're kind of like tripping about.
Okay.
As he says, like, and I don't know if there's anything else, but could you quickly go into what do you think is if there's a standard or a traditional royalty percentage that you feel a producer should receive on a song that goes out, that someone puts out?
That's not a quick
Fair.
question. Man, I mean, I think the only standard that's been set, and standards are made to be
Yeah.
changed, is the 50-50 underlying composition split.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of how it's been, and I haven't really seen, unless someone's really trying to screw you over, you
Right.
don't really see deviations from that. But master royalties, I think the split for everybody is terrible.
Right.
I mean, Kanye got, what did he say, 14% royalty rate on College Dropout, and I brought that up on the podcast, and I was like, that's terrible. They're like, that was standard back then, because now it's more like 15, 16, and then producers are getting 3 points,
Okay.
which means a lot of us aren't seeing any
Anything.
royalties after the advance we get paid. So it's just get a lawyer. They'll explain it to you, and you'll look at it and be like, oh, I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of. And they're like, yeah, you are. So sign here.
sign
This
here,
is the
right.
best you're going to get. And they're probably right.
That's what's up. All right, Mr. Payne One.
That is not what's up. We got to change that.
We do. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and
Thank
and
you.
sit in with the rest of the producers here. Everybody that's been viewing, we appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll cut this up and put it out. I think there's some valuable jewels and stuff for folks.
Yeah,
There's
send me
a lot
the
to get out of here.
video so I can do the same.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, everybody that's been viewing, checking us out, we appreciate y'all. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.
Oh, I got to turn my live off.
Hey, man.